Now this one some of you might have seen before. It's a very famous crop circle. This one appeared, I think it was 1996, and it appeared right opposite Stonehenge. And this has become pivotal in the whole crop circle debate, this one formation. It's really significant because the crop circle researchers, the ones that are pushing the it's a real phenomena brigade, they will hold this one up and say, this is the proof that it's not man-made, because this one is rumored to have appeared in 45 minutes during daylight hours as well. Okay, so what the story was that there was some people at Stonehenge. There was a pilot flew over the area, didn't report seeing that, flew back the other way 45 minutes later and saw that one, and then said it wasn't there when I flew over 45 minutes ago. So everybody got really excited about that and thought, well, there it is. That's proof that there's a real phenomenon going on here. And that story still is debated today. Most people in the crop circle community, if you see the mainstream researchers, they'll put that one right at the top of their list as the evidence. This is it. But and I went along with that for a long time. But as I say, I always try and keep an open mind about everything, and I have to seriously question that because you look at that. For a long time, I couldn't get hold of a high-resolution picture of that formation. It seems to be quite hard to find. That was the best one I had. It was from 1996, where the resolution wasn't as good as it is now. And it's directly above. And in most of the crop circle books and things like that, you'll see that crop circle is always taken from a bit of an angle with Stonehenge in the background. And with all the story about how it's created around it. But you look at it from above, and you see the same marks on that as you have on those other ones, which I've just shown to you are proven man-made ones, with the concentric circles in those rings. So to me, that looks definite man-made. I'm not claiming I know that. I'm just saying, from my point of view, from an open-minded point of view, that is man-made. Okay? Because it has all the hallmarks of being man-made. It's also, if you look through the center of those rings, those circles, you can see a line. That's another giveaway that it's man-made, because these circle makers have what they call a construction line, and they will map out the shape of the formation first of all, and they will walk that, and they walk like a sideways motion around that, like that, and it's literally only about that, shoe's width round, but they walk it around, and then they create the circles around that area. And also, it was Colin Andrews again investigated this, and he spoke to known circle makers at the time, and he spoke to someone called Rod Dickinson, who he was led to believe that this guy was behind this crop circle. I don't know if he was or just knew who was involved, but certainly he had a lot of information about it to give to Colin Andrews, and he was explaining about how that was made. So what he was explaining there was how that is actually constructed. And what I thought was interesting was the fact that he pointed out that there was that central circle, the one at the bottom of that spiral, like the right in the middle there. There's a central circle. And that, to me, is like the giveaway, really, that it's man-made, because that shouldn't be there. If it was following the proper pattern of the Fibonacci code, the way it progresses around there, it shouldn't be there. But he was saying that was there so they could map it out all the way around. They had to get into the crop to do that. And then they created that circle around it. And it was hailed as like the most perfect crop circle ever, this. And it is phenomenal. But it's not entirely perfect either. You can see blemishes in there if you look closely as well. But a lot of the mainstream researchers won't certainly won't draw your attention to them. But to me, even looking at the very end of that tail, doesn't follow the same line to me. And there's a few circles that aren't quite perfect circles as well. So I think a legend has been created around that somehow. I don't quite know how that came about, how people reported it appearing in 45 minutes, but there could have been like cloud cover or mist, something like that, and it was missed on the first time. But to me, it's you know, it was man-made, and these legends do have a habit of just happening like this, and they've been built up out of all proportion in the crop circle world. Now that's another phenomenal design, isn't it? Has anybody seen that before? That was in Holland a few years ago, and it was absolutely massive. Took everybody by surprise when it first appeared, but then just a day or two later, it was revealed that it was actually made by about 60 people. As a bit of an experiment, they wanted to try and create a crop circle and try and create a world record, basically, and they actually failed to break the world record as well, because it isn't actually the biggest crop circle ever. But it just shows you again what people can do. Now that one surely can't be made by people. Okay, would you say people could make that? Well, it was made by people. And again, Colin Andrews investigated that, and he was even given some of the design plans that showed how it was done. And that's some of it, which shows, and actually when it was revealed how they made it, it was nothing like any of the experts had imagined. They imagined how they made all those arcs and circles, and how did they do that? How did they get all that? But it actually was a process of the construction from the outside in that just created that process bit by bit as it went through. So it was an ingenious way of doing it. So that's one of the things, you know, because I think a lot of people don't necessarily appreciate how these people do it, because we don't do it. We don't really understand how they do it. So we just think it's impossible. But when to them, it's their art, and they take it very seriously. And here's just a few more that are known man-made. That was one that was filmed and witnessed by researchers at night. That was one that was initially was thought to be a real phenomenon, but then was revealed as a company logo, man-made. Now, okay, we come to this year. This was probably, I think it was the biggest crop circle of 2011. Fantastic size to it. And again, people were gobsmacked when they saw that, and reading all kinds of deep meanings into this. And it really got everybody excited. So again, most of the crop circle researchers were pronouncing this as the genuine article, and people couldn't make this. Okay, but now just watch this incredible footage and see what is possible for humans to do in the dead of night.
And this is night vision footage which was shot, and you can see the circles being created on the left hand side, and as the circle starts to take shape, you're getting the rings are being made first, and you can see the circle makers actually going from ring to ring and actually starting to fill it, but then leaving the circles behind, and some are filled, some are not. That one's being filled completely in. You can see the circle maker going around. But this has been sped up, I should say, 6,000 times. Basically, I was allowed to film this. The circle makers told me where they were going to be, and the reason I didn't get started, it should be said, at filming this when the camera first comes on and they've already started a certain way, is because I didn't know where they were exactly, and I was told to be on a certain hillside, and I didn't know where in the fields, and it took me a while to kind of work out where this was actually starting. and then I trained the cameras on that area and then filmed for the next 5 hours. But yeah, basically some footage of a crop circle being made. You don't get to see this very often, and people complain and they say, "Where will you say you make these circles?" But we've never seen the stuff, we've never seen the footage of them actually being made, a real circle being made. And it's like, well, you don't get much more real than this, because this was proclaimed by a lot of people to actually be a genuine crop circle, and they liked it a lot. So the trouble why we don't actually get round to making footage like this is because, I mean, you've got to have night vision cameras to start with. And in this particular location, it was so dark, there was no moonlight, it was heavy cloud cover. It was so dark that the gain had to be turned up on the night vision, so you're seeing these speckles. And there's very little detail, really, that you can see. And the field was quite far away. I had to use a zoom lens on the front of the night vision to actually be able to see this, which, again, that cut down the amount of light that we were seeing through the night vision. Basically, this was proclaimed by many to be a real crop circle. That's the interesting thing, is that had people turned around and said that they didn't like this circle, then we'd be in an awkward position. But a lot of people said that they did like this circle, and that there was a lot of complex geometry in it, and that it would have been very hard to do.
That was just put on the internet on the 21st of December. This just Christmas just gone, so it's only just come to light, that video. So it's causing quite a big storm on the internet now, as you can imagine. A lot of people are trying to claim that it's faked and all this kind of thing, but I don't believe it is. I think that is a genuine film of a crop circle being made, and by aliens, of course. And it was widely accepted as a fantastic formation. That was just some of the reaction that did get when it first appeared. And this was before, obviously, the video came out. This is what some of the mainstream researchers were saying about it. Don't know if you can read that. This fantastic example was reported near Inkpen on the Wiltshire-Berkshire border, clearly representing a huge serpent with a trident tongue and measuring in the region of 700 feet in length. It is by far the most impressive design of the season so far. Okay. So many of those people that were proclaiming that as a phenomenal crop circle no doubt would not entertain any thoughts that that could have been man-made. Now that's really where the debate needs to wake up a little bit. And if you want to take a break, we'll do that now, because after the break is where I think this subject really gets interesting, because it's about looking at the whole phenomenon behind this. And even if circles like this are man-made, I think there's still a lot more to learn. So the acknowledgement of the involvement of humans in the creation of crop circles is not the end of the mystery. It is just the beginning of a new one.